Privilege. What is it? The textbook definition of privilege is that it is a special right or advantage given to an individual or group. As it is a special right, not everyone has the same amount of privilege that is granted to them. For example, freedom in the United States. We have been taught since a young age that all the citizens of the United States are free and equal. However, that is not the case and hasn't been the case since the creation of the United States. Although the United States is built upon the privilege of having freedom, it has been taken away by the prejudice that is ingrained into our society. Two philosophers, Olympe de Gouges and Mahatma Gandhi, both represent a similar perspective when it comes to privilege. Olympe de Gouges, in a society where married women had no power over their husbands, fought for the freedom of women, which was being suppressed by the prejudice that men were better than women. In her pamphlet called The Rights of Woman, she said, "Man, are you capable of being just? Is it a woman who poses the question? You will not deprive her of that right at least. Tell me, what gives you sovereign empire to oppress my sex? Your strength? Your talents?" The Gouges represents the unequal distribution of the privilege of freedom here by fighting the chains of prejudice that society has put on women. By fighting for the freedom of rights that have been taken away from women, she is trying to make people realize that the prejudice created about women should have been non-existent. Nothing made men better than women. However, it was so ingrained into our society during that time that it took their privilege to have their own freedom. Mahatma Gandhi is similar to the Gouges in that they both believed that the privilege of freedom should be equal to all despite differences. Mahatma Gandhi was an influential leader who fought for the freedom of India from British rule. He believed that the privilege of freedom should not be limited, or else it wouldn't be true freedom. This concept is proven in his Quit India speech, where he says, "Let me tell you that I do not regard England, or for that matter, America, as free countries. They are free after their own fashion, free to hold in bondage colored races of the earth." This is a good instance where Gandhi shows that he represents the true privilege of freedom without the interference of prejudice. While Gandhi is a beacon of non-judgment, he shows this by criticizing countries that advocate for the freedom of all people. However, they still take away the freedom of colored people. We as a society should not take away the people's privilege of freedom based on our unfair prejudices. Taking away people's privilege will lead to disagreements in our society, like in de Gouges' Rights of Women pamphlet or Gandhi's Leadership for the Freedom of India. The privilege of freedom should be equal to all, as we are all one race. While many people believe that the United States is a truly free country with little to no prejudice, this is still far from the truth. This can be disproven through the many cases in our history where the privilege of freedom was taken away by prejudice, which include the Black Lives Matter movement and the women's civil rights movement. The wicked problem of privilege can be solved by looking back and studying our past in order to see the mistakes where we, as a society, took away the privilege of people due to our prejudice. While only studying our past won't be able to provide all the solutions to fixing new problems tied to privilege, we should mitigate these problems by asking ourselves, what is my privilege, and why doesn't everyone have it?